Good morning everyone, or it might be good afternoon by the time you look at this video. Now you will notice that I am at school today, so I'm going to be reading the book from here, okay? It's chapter 3 and it is called 40 Winks, and I have had a request from Luke and his family to that they'd rather see me read the book, so that's why I'm doing it like this today, okay? So the next day and the next day and the next after that, I smiled at the new boy and gave him a friendly wink, just as often as I could. My goal was to give him at least 40 winks a day, because that's what Mum says everyone needs. But after a while, my eyebrows started to feel funny. I could tell the new boy was finding it interesting, because he stopped looking at everyone else and kept looking at me. But then Michael saw me trying to wink with both my eyes, one after the other, and I said I looked like I needed a doctor. He probably said that because I can't wink with my left eye as well as I can with my right eye. So I decided to stop winking quite as much. That week, Mrs. Khan was teaching us all about photosynthesis and gave each of us a small pot with a seed in it to look after. Everyone was interested because everyone was excited because she said there would be a prize for whoever grows the best plant. Even the new boy got one, and I think it made him happy because he kept looking at it. I tried to whisper lots of cheerful words like rainbow and popcorn and marshmallows to mine, because I read somewhere that if you tell plants about happy things, it makes them grow quicker. I'd never won a prize before, not even at the fairground. I thought if I tried really hard to keep talking to my plant, I might win this time. And I couldn't win then. And if I couldn't win, then I wanted the new boy to, because he really seemed to like that plant. But I was worried about Brendan, the bully Brooker. He's the class bully. His cheeks are always pink because he spends most of his time chasing anyone smaller than him around the playground. He's not very clever and hates anyone that is. If anyone gets a top mark in class or a prize, he'll try and beat them up at home time. I saw him looking at Ahmed's plant and narrowing his eyes, just like he always does when he thinks of something mean to do. I didn't like it one bit. His most common trick is to trip you up with his foot. He also likes to tip up your lunch trays as he walks by so that the food dribbles down your chest like runny eggs. He's done that to me a few times. Sometimes he gets caught, but most of the time he doesn't. And even when he does get caught, he doesn't get detention. Most of the teachers seem to like him though. Maybe it's because when he smiles, he looks like one of those boys that sings in the church choir on television. Mr. Thompson used to call him a little rascal, which must be a good word because he gave Brendan the bully a wink and a pat on the back whenever he said it, and then let him run off again. That made everyone else in the class except for Liam and Chris, Brendan the bully's only two friends, hate him even more. Even the bullies in the upper years find him annoying. It's funny how bullies don't like other bullies. Maybe it stops them from feeling special. But in school, everyone knows who the bullies are and who they like to bully, and no two bullies can go after the same person. It's a strange system, but those are the rules, and everyone sticks to them, even the teachers. But Mrs. Khan is different. She doesn't seem to like Brendan the bully as much as other teachers. She's always watching him, and ever since we were put in her class, he's been careful not to do anything around her. I'm still going to keep an eye on him though. Soon after the new boy joined our class, lots of rumours about him began to be passed around the playground like an invisible game of pass the parcel. Most people believed Jenny and said that the new boy must be dangerous, and that's why he was never allowed out. But then other people started saying he had a super contagious disease, and that was the real reason that he wasn't allowed to talk to him. The disease rumour scared Clarissa so much that she tried to sit as far away from him as she could without leaving her chair. One time she leaned over so far that she crashed onto the floor. She didn't lean away so much after that, but she always put her arms up or used an exercise book as a divider. I didn't think the new boy looked at the least bit dangerous or like he had an infectious disease. So the rumour I thought sounded the most true was the one where he was from a super rich family and that his parents had sent him to our school undercover so that he wouldn't be kidnapped. Michael said kidnappers wouldn't come to our school to look for him because it wasn't in a posh area, and Tom agreed. He said that when he moved from America, his older brothers had told him they must be poor now because they were going to live in the poor end of London and not the rich end. I didn't really understand what that meant because London doesn't have ends. On maps, it's just a spilt blob of jam. I wanted to ask the new boy if the rumour about kidnappers was true and if he needed us to become his bodyguards, but he was still doing all his lessons on his own. And every break time and lunchtime he would disappear so no one except for Clarissa would talk to him. And she didn't want to. I tried to catch his eye so I could smile at him and whisper hello, but Mrs. Khan caught me and told me to pay attention to my work. Next, I tried to send him a note made into a paper plane because I'm good at those. But it flew wonky and hit Nigel on the head instead. He's a tattletale and told on me straight away. I hate tattletales because they seem to like getting people into trouble more than anything else in the world, and they always smile when they're doing it. Mrs. Khan came and took the note and read it just to herself. She shook her head at me, but I think she must have found the drawings I made funny because her mouth gave a tiny smile that only I could see. Even though I didn't get hold of, I knew it would be too risky to send any more notes by airmail, especially with tattletales around. The next day at break time, Josie, Tom, Michael and I decided to follow the new boy and find out where he was going. But Mrs. Khan caught us following him in the corridors and told us not to do it again. She didn't seem angry, but she did say that the new boy needed to be in seclusion for a little while longer, and that is for his own good. So we promised not to follow him anymore. "What does seclusion mean?" asked Josie when we went back onto the playground. None of us knew exactly, not even Michael, although he said it sounded as if the new boy needed to have private treatment like a real sick person in hospital, so maybe he did have an infectious disease after all. But it wasn't long until we found out what seclusion really meant and why the new boy needed so much of it. Okay, that's the end of that chapter. Oh, I'm really beginning to wonder what's up with this boy. You know, has he got something wrong with him, or is he just new? I don't know. I'd love to hear what you think. Maybe you can put on the reading comment under the reading on Tapestry and tell me what you think. Okay, right, I've got to get back to the lovely children in the classroom, so enjoy your book and I will speak to you tomorrow. Bye.